All right, welcome back, friends. If you have not been with us the past few weeks, we are journeying. You know, I've said that word several times since we've been doing this, and every time I say it wrong. So here we go. Through Stephen King's You Like It Darker book. It is a series of short stories, and today we are discussing two of those short stories. The first one being that we're covering is The Turbulence Expert. Robert, give us the rundown, my friend.
So The Turbulence Expert is a very short story. I think it raked in at about 14 pages. It follows Craig Dixon, a man who has, to me, one of the world's most unique professions. He's a turbulence expert. And one night, Craig gets a call from the facilitator who tells him his latest assignment. And Craig has to board a flight leaving Boston for Sarasota. Well, what is a turbulence expert? Justin, take it, dude.
So from what I gathered, I love that you threw this to me because we had a conversation earlier and I was like, I'm confused about this one. But a turbulence expert, from what I gathered, is a person who goes onto a plane. And Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be very wrong about this. And if the plane, something bad is going to happen, but this person basically prevents it from happening. Is that kind of the...
So that's the gist I got too, dude. I threw it to you because I wanted to see where we're at. So the facilitator is some dude you never meet. He's like the man in the shadows, and he calls these turbulence experts, and he's like, hey, this plane going from here to here is going to experience what is called clear sky. I think it was clear air turbulence. And it's like the most dangerous form of turbulence you can run into. So the turbulence expert gets on the plane. He knows it's going to happen, but the caveat is he can keep it afloat, but he's so afraid while it's happening because in his mind, he sees what would happen if he's not on the plane. He lives the crash mentally. He lives it as if it really happens. He sees everything, all the gruesome details, and then it's over and everyone on the plane lives. It was very weird. It was very unique, very Stephen King.
Very Stephen King. So what you gathered from this, because that's what I had some questions about this too, is that basically it's kind of an alternate reality deal. Is that what you're saying? I
think there's definitely some like precognitive ability to it. I don't know about an alternate reality. I think it's just like a premonition. Like they can see so far into the future for this specific thing. Based in this story was only 14 pages. It kind of left a lot up to your imagination.
Yeah. Well, because then at the end, you know, he's in the car with the lady who was also on the plane. And I think it's cool for us to get right to this, wouldn't you say? Yeah. And he's basically pitching the idea to her that, hey, this is what I do. And it was funny because he's like rolling up the privacy window. She thinks he's going to make a move on her. And then, but the reality is he's pitching to her that, hey, you could be the next turbulence expert. You get to travel, takes good care of you, all that kind of stuff. She reveals that she's a librarian. And he's like, I knew you were a librarian. I could see it. I figured it out. She was talking about, though, when they were in the car and he was explaining this to her, how I guess she said that she saw the fear from him, but she didn't notice it from anybody else. But he was saying he saw it from her, too. Is that kind of the deal?
Yeah, well, so basically, like, he gets on the plane and this woman, Mary, that you're talking about, is next to him. And when they hit that clear air turbulence, the businessman next to him, he's chilling. He's like, oh, this ain't nothing. But sure. Mary and Craig, they're like living the plane crash. And when it's over, she kind of looks right at him and says, this plane was going to crash. I'm sure of it. I saw it happen. And that's when Craig was kind of like, oh, yeah, she's like me. She's one of us.
There it is. Okay, cool. Yeah, dude, it's weird how this one, maybe it was because it was so short that I feel like there were a lot of details I missed in this one outside of some of the ending and kind of how the plane was going down. But I mean, this was a really cool premise. It was very unique in comparison to everything else we've done so far. It was definitely unique. I think the part where you were talking about towards the end when he's like, hey, you know, you can do this job. It was kind of like scratch my back and I won't scratch your situation, because he doesn't tell Mary. He's like, hey, if you want to be a turbulence expert, you know, you're going to get paid really well. X, Y, and Z happens, but you can't just quit.
Like they will assassinate you. You have to do it for so long. But for every turbulence expert you recruit, you get 2 years off your sentence.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like, oh, I can retire 2 years early and put this little old lady who's probably going to die before she runs out her time because she was older to do this.
That's true. I remember because in the beginning, he was talking about how there were rumors that if you were to walk away, that you would basically be slaughtered and killed. Right. And he was like, I don't know if I believe that, but then in another way, I do believe that. So
I believe it too, and I'll give like a couple nods here. Like when stories make me actually have to like hit the internet for something. And I'll be honest, I didn't know clear air turbulence was a thing, so I Googled it. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I have a phobia of flying that never existed. Thanks for that, Stephen King. Because nowadays, most air travel, they can kind of predict where the turbulence is, except this clear air turbulence, it can just pop up and they're not prepared for it. So it's like the most dangerous form of turbulence you can encounter, to my knowledge of the little research I did. So that was like, okay, sweet, new phobia. But I think if you have like a fear of flying or you travel often, the story might hit a little harder for you. I've only been on a plane like a couple of times in my life, so I don't really have that healthy fear of flying. I'm just like, yeah, man, I'll get on a plane. Let's do it.
That's fair. All right, man. You ready to get into lightning round here?
Let's roll.
All right, we got a few questions on here. So you said you flew a couple times. Dylan, you can answer this first one too. But have you ever had a bad experience while flying? Dylan, we'll kick it off with you, man.
Never flew.
Oh, our sweet baby Dylan's never been on a plane. That's fair. Robert?
Dude, no, I've never had a bad experience on a flight. I got on. I've been anxious both times getting on airplanes, but once I've been up in the air, dude, I've just, kind of chilling. No bad experiences. If I experience turbulence, I'll never fly again.
So I haven't really had what I would call like a terrible experience, but my last experience flying, it was on our way to Vegas. And so Maggie hasn't been on a plane since she threw me on under the bus on our social medias this week. I'm going to go ahead and throw her under the bus right now. So we're flying. Maggie? Yeah. What up, Maggie? So we're flying. I'm sitting in the middle seat. She's at the window and I have this little kid to my left. And I don't know, he was probably anywhere between 8 and 11, somewhere in that range. And every time the plane would do any kind of like, little turbulence action, Maggie's eyes would all of a sudden get real wide and she'd grab my arm real hard. She'd be like, and I'm like, dude, it's okay. And the kid next to me would be like, oh my God. And all of a sudden, so he thinks we're going to die. Maggie thinks we're going to die the entire way. I'm sitting there dying laughing, and Maggie's like, don't lie, you're scared. I'm like, I'm good. So anyway, not a terrible experience. It was more funny. All right, here we go. Would you accept Craig's offer and become a turbulence expert? Robert, would you do it?
I mean, if the price is right.
Would you?
Yeah, dude, if the price is right, like what, get on a plane. I know it's not going to crash because I'm on it and I'm going to make bank. I'm in my 30s. I got a lot of life to live. How long do I have to sign up for? Craig's out here talking about the fancy restaurants he's eating in, the limo picking him up, how he wants for nothing because of all the money he makes. Heck yeah, dude, put me on the plane. Facilitator can call me tomorrow.
Dude, if Robert starts flying all the time, we know.
You know what's up.
It was from this show.
Yeah.
He became a turbulence expert. Listen, dude, I'm not getting on. I'm not doing that. Because, bro, listen, you live in fear of death constantly. Like, yes, he may know in his heart of hearts, but I don't know. Does he know in his heart of hearts he's not going to die? Because if you know in your heart of hearts you're not going to die, you're not going to be that fearful. He literally fears for his life every time he gets on an airplane. No, thank you. What is your favorite movie involving airplanes? Go ahead, Dylan.
Snakes on a plane.
Yeah.
Yes, bro. That's mine, bro. Why wouldn't it be? Why is it anything other than Snakes on a Plane? Go ahead, Robert.
So mine's not Snakes on a Plane, but I respect both of you having that answer. I'm going to go ahead and ride for Maggie. Maggie, we're from the same generation. I'm surprised Justin didn't have more fear on that plane. I've seen Final Destination 2, Maggie. I know what's up. I'd have been afraid of that turbulence also. It's definitely Final Destination. That movie, terrified me of a lot of things as a kid, specifically airplanes and riding behind trucks carrying like giant logs.
All right. Let's go ahead and hit it with these final 3 words. Robert, give us yours, man.
Weird superpower.
It is a weird superpower. Mine specifically for Mary, and I guess it's for you too, Robert. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I would do it though.
Don't do it though.